The future of Diablo 4. This is gonna be good.
Wait, the main reason I attended BlizzCon this year was to see what's next for Diablo. As some of you might know, I am a big fan of the franchise. I have been ever since the very first game. And when Diablo 4 came out, I played basically nonstop for a month straight.
Look at him playing a druid just because it has good damage and good AoE. That's it. This is why druid is the most popular class, if I'm not currently mistaken. It's either that or necromancer. Because guess what? You have good AoE at early levels, and it deals damage. Wow. It takes so much for a class to be successful. Can you imagine that?
I might not be the most hardcore of all the gamers, but I certainly felt like a proper
Same.
degenerate for the entire month of June. D4 launched, I played a lot, and while I was aware of its issues, I still mostly enjoyed the experience. Yes, the game very sorely needed some quality of life features. Yes, I wished the whole thing, especially though the endgame, had a lot more content variety, and for sure, I was sick of staring at my inventory for a quarter of my playtime. But as I said, I played the game for a month straight. So clearly I was enjoying myself. However, as the preseason wrapped up and as we approached season number 1, I felt pretty much well and done with the game. Season of Malignant, while adding...
Yeah, it's gonna be this. Is it gonna be the same story as mine? Yeah, I played the start of the game pretty actively and a decent amount, but at the season of Malignant, bro, I didn't even get to level 50. I was playing a source. And I quickly understood how bad the game is because first time I played Necromancer, I think a lot of people actually left Diablo 4 because they just played the wrong class for their first time. Playing a source opened my eyes so much to how good Necromancer, for example, is. Dude, so much AoE, so much things, so much everything. Sorceress? Boring, annoying, stupid. Class mechanic with the enchantments. You know, everything feels shit. And then it gets even better, obviously. The fact that only ice shards are your only viable skill to play the game, pretty much. Now, there are some other almost viable ways to play the game as a sorceress, but, you know, the moment you just try ice shards, you understand, wait a minute, ice shards are amazing. You don't run out of mana, you have great AoE clear, you have great single target damage. Ice shards are just 10 times stronger than anything else in the game. Yeah. And it got boring real quick. I didn't even make it to level 50 with the sorceress.
Adding some new stuff wasn't adding enough new stuff to entice me personally to do the level 1 to 100 grind all over again. But then came season 2. Not only did it add a new theme and new sources of power, but we got some more new content, with the boss ladder being one of the biggest new additions. 5 new bosses for us to grind.
Hey, the bosses don't even exist, honestly, on a spectrum of hard. They're all just loot pinatas, essentially, but at least there are bosses.
Between levels like 50 and 100, letting us target farm powerful uniques and even get a chance at those uber uniques. That plus a ton of quality of life fixes that addressed many of my biggest pain points around the game's release. That made me go, yeah, I will give it another shot. And while I was slow to start, just having jumped in recently, I will say my time with season 2 so far has been pretty good. It's not totally different. Diablo 4 still has the basic loop as it has in the past, more or less, but it is in a much better place than when it launched.
I mean, there's no point in talking about the basic loop. You're never gonna get away from it unless you want a different genre of a game, honestly. So, you know, why even mention it at this point, I feel.
And after these first 2 seasons, all signs are pointing to them making good on the promise of further polishing the game, adding quality of life, and slowly introducing new content with time, which they ought to be considering they're selling mount skins that cost more than the base game itself at this point. But what's next? That's the big...
Dude, when I complain about the stupid horse, there was a person who unironically said, well, you get free extra currency because you can't buy the exact amount of special currency to buy the horse, so that's a plus, actually. Because, you know, you're buying a horse, but actually you're getting free currency. Bro, you're not getting free currency. You're still paying for that fucking currency. You understand that, right, you dumbass? Second of all, well, it's actually a horse plus armor, so that's a fair thing. Unironically, try to defend horse armor and a horse for $70 with arguments like that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Even if you have good arguments, there's still no way to defend the fact that a stupid horse skin costs 70. But damn.
Big question. Where does Diablo 4 go from here? Where is the big, new, interesting stuff? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, because a lot of that information came from this year's BlizzCon. But first, a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Zenless Zone Zero. This is an upcoming free-to-play urban fantasy.
Oh yeah, this is just another gotcha thing. If you're addicted to gambling, I guess that's fine, but you know, it's shit. Don't buy it.
Next for the game. As I talked about, we got a peek of this just last week at BlizzCon. Now, as I mentioned, I did attend the event and got to see in person what new stuff they have planned, although for Diablo 4 at least,
looks pretty empty, honestly.
Seeing this stuff in person at the convention didn't make much of a difference from had I watched it at home, and trust me, I will touch on this element of this whole thing later in the video. In terms of what we saw, in terms of what they revealed, I want to go over that. First of all, one of the first reveals was something I wasn't actually expecting, which is additional content updates planned for the current season, Season of Blood. As you might know, this launched about a month ago. With it came a bunch of new stuff, all those quality of life features and new content, new power sources, new bosses. But now on top of that, they are adding more new stuff in the middle and towards the end of the season. So first they revealed that they're going to be bringing back popular powers from the first season in the form of these malignant.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I said will happen, because when season 2 came out, I already was like, there's no way they remove the malignant hearts, right? Because no one wants to put a stupid skull into all of their jewelry slots, right? Well, now it's different, actually. Now no one even uses the skulls for jewelry anymore, as much as I know. But, you know, point being, it was visibly a stupid decision, no matter how you want to slice it, no matter how you want to sell it. But they did it anyway. They actually just, you know, did it anyway. They removed it. And now they're bringing it back in a shitty form. And again, I'll say, this is a complaint that I will have forever, because this is Diablo 3 type of game design. And Diablo 3 is a bad game, so, you know, anytime that Diablo 4 even touches the realm of Diablo 3 game design, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. So, they are introducing malignant hearts as rings. So, the Necromancer gets the auto-cast one. The Sorceress gets also something that's kind of really good. Essentially, a couple of classes get an item that they must have no matter what they're doing, because it's just so good, so OP, so everything. And other classes get nothing. So, those classes that get nothing actually get a +1 item slot, but those classes that get a good ring get a -1 item slot for the rest of eternity. That's essentially how this works. Because there's no such thing as a Necromancer who's not gonna use the auto-cast Malignant Ring. So, for the rest of eternity, it's like just -1 item slot right there. And that's bad. That's really, really bad game design. At this rate, we're gonna have the Haradra Cube back. And that thing was horrible, because it just limited game design, because it's just a sign of bad game design. The fact that you need to add something that gives you extra things because you just don't... people hate... It's just so bad. Yeah. The rings are bad. End of story.
Malignant rings. This has actually already happened. They came out just a few days ago, and some of the most powerful abilities from last season are now being brought back into this season, which is them basically making good on the promise of using these seasons as a testing ground, and potentially, with the things that are successful and the things that people like, making it a more recurring or ongoing thing. But on top of Malignant rings, they also revealed that in early December, with patch 1.2.3, we'll be getting a new endgame activity called the Abator of Zur. This is an endgame pinnacle dungeon event for after you finish the season journey. And this event kind of actually reminds me a little bit of Rifts from Diablo 3. Basically, it's a time trial. You jump into the Abator of Zur.
It is.
which has multiple levels. I believe it's 25 levels total that they mentioned. And you go through this dungeon on a timer. You kill as many enemies as you can while filling up this progress bar. And then once the bar is full, it will spawn a boss. You kill the boss and collect your reward. Those rewards will include a new powerful glyph called the Tears of Blood. So this glyph has two main parts to it. First, it says for every 5 core stats purchased within range, you'll gain 2.0% X increased damage. That is multiplicative damage, which means it's going to be very, very strong. It also grants a 50% bonus to all rare nodes within range, and that bonus will increase by 10% for every 10 levels. Worth noting that the Tears of the Blood glyph will have a level cap of 200, so there is a lot of power to grind just out of this.
Yes, essentially infinity scaling. I mean, it's nice. I'm not actually against it, because some kind of infinity scaling mechanic that, you know, makes someone slightly powerful when they play 24 hours a day is nice in my opinion. I'm for this change, as strange as that may seem.
One glyph. Now, the Abattoir of Zur, as I mentioned, has 25 difficulty levels. They have said ultimately these will be much more difficult than the hardest nightmare dungeons. This is basically the new final progression, the new pinnacle content for this season. It is going to be a great source of Paragon glyph experience, either great for leveling up your existing glyphs or for that brand new Tears of Blood glyph. Now, as of now, this is a seasonal only event, and it will be launching in early December, which means it's going to be around for about a month, to basically the last third of season number 2.
So a lot of people are not even going to play this. So essentially, this is content for only the people who care.
As with a lot of seasonal stuff, this is something they might consider bringing back in the future. It really just depends on feedback, whether or not people like it. But that's not all. Also coming in Season 2 includes a new update for the Occultist. We're going to be getting this enchanting preview window, letting you see...
Wow. A shitty mechanic made more... Well, I guess this makes it better, but let's be real. How many of you even remember that this is a thing? Yeah, exactly no one. I don't use it. It's pointless, it's stupid. Why would you ever use it?
See what affixes you have a chance of getting when you're re-rolling them. This was a feature in Diablo 3. It took them a while, but I'm glad it's finally coming here to Diablo 4. And then, well, it wouldn't be much of a live service game if there weren't seasonal events, and we'll be getting our first one with Diablo 4 in Midwinter Blight. This is a holiday event that's going to introduce some new quests and activities. All the Fractured Peaks will be getting a visual overhaul. The region is already snowy, so basically they're making it more purple while adding some new seasonal-inspired enemies in the Frigid Husks. Kill enemies. Eventually, you get enough to summon this new event boss, the Red Cloaked Horror. Kill the boss, collect rewards. Those rewards.
It's Santa, by the way. If someone doesn't understand, this is essentially just Santa Claus.
Will come in the form of new event themed.
Which is very, by the way, not inclusive. Blizzard. Santa? That's a Western patriarchy. This thing, yeah. How non-inclusive. I want him to be black, at the bare minimum.
Cosmetics. Midwinter Blight will be launching on December 12th. Brand new stuff coming in the middle and towards the end of the season. Not something I expected. When seasons come out, I pretty much expect everything that's in the season is going to be there at launch, and then everything else they might want to add will be coming in subsequent seasons. But no, they're actually...
True.
Doing mid-season updates, and that is, to me, again, unexpected. I did not assume that was going to be the announcement that we got here, and it's a good thing we did get that announcement, because in terms of actual specific details with what we can expect for Diablo 4, this was the most specific that they were. But there was more stuff beyond the new stuff coming to
Season of No idea.
Season 2. They also teased Season 3. This will be coming in January. They did not give a name or a reveal of the theme, but they did share basically 2...
That name probably is some kind of Haradric bullshit or some kind of text that's in the findable in some game, and someone can decode it, by the way. It always is like that.
New features that will be coming. So first of all, more Endgame will be coming in Season 3. This new weekly challenge dungeon called the Gauntlet. This will be unlocking at World Tier 4. It is a fixed seed, non-linear dungeon. So fixed seed means that it's not a random layout. The layout will be the same every time for everyone, for every...
Oh boy, I can't wait for the Diablo 4 developers that care more about explaining how great it is to be lesbians and how they have wives and stuff and how great wokeness is, and make me a non-random seed dungeon. I can't wait for the amazing opportunities and everything that's gonna provide. Yes, I love it. Thank you, Blizzard. That sounds great.
Every weekly challenge dungeon. And the non-linear part basically just means there will be different paths to choose from, but it's not random. It is again a fixed...
What the hell is this? I have never seen an event like this. Or have I? Interesting.
Seed. So what you do is you go in the dungeon and you push as far as you can, killing monsters and opening chests. Now all of the loot that you get as a reward will be dropping at the very end, but along the way, when you open chests and when you kill monsters, they will be dropping these items called proofs of might. Now you pick them up because the more you pick up, the higher your score gets at the end of the run. And what's a score without...
Why do we need to pick up things? I'm so tired of this. When I click on a rock by accident, I want that ore instantaneously just in my backpack. When a seed of hatred or whatever the Helltide mechanic is called drops, I don't want to pick it up. I want it to be in my stupid inventory already. Okay? Why do we need to pick up these things? It's so dumb.
Without leaderboards, they'll be introducing leaderboards finally in season number 3. The best scores every week in these runs will be appearing in this new leaderboard system. It's got a bunch of different filters. You can do it by region, by class, by your friends list, all sorts of stuff. If you push really far in the gauntlet, you might find yourself near the top or at the top of the leaderboards. And then every single week, a new gauntlet with a new fixed seed and non-linear layout will be appearing, and it will also reset the leaderboards, providing...
Wait, these leaderboards sound way better than initially. Huh. Maybe leaderboards are not going to be a super insta-dead mechanic? Considering they're tied to something that you want to do? Oh no.
You another fresh shot at getting near the top.
Because this is way different than what I expected. I expected the leaderboards to be just shit like, you know, how fast do you clear dungeons or something. But if this is a one-time-a-week activity, the leaderboards aren't even that bad. I thought that this is going to be tied to, you know, an activity that only the losers who can grind 16 hours a day are going to actually get the top rankings for. But this, like, try once a week? I mean, people are going to be pretty happy with this probably, not going to lie.
And then they've also rolled in a more permanent leaderboards called the Hall of Ancients. The best players from each week's leaderboards will then be permanently recorded in the Hall of Ancients, which is going to stay in the game for as long as the game stays online. Now, that was it for Season 3 details. We are expecting more info to come during the next Diablo campfire chat, which I'm just going to assume will be in the coming weeks here in between November and December. And then the lastly, and I guess biggest thing, or potentially most exciting thing, was them revealing the first expansion. So Vessel of Hatred is the name of this expansion.
I completely forgot. We're going back to Korra's boys.
Expansion. It's going to take place and include a brand...
Worst trailer ever. You have Mephisto's voice, and there's like... You have Mephisto's voice, but there's like some kind of stupid sounds like this, for example. Yeah, and then you need to listen to what Mephisto says, but God, it was so awful.
A new region, the Hantu. This is basically a fresh spin on the jungle zone from Diablo 2. With this, we're going to get a new story, new enemies.
It's not a fresh spin, by the way, because we're literally going back to Traviansel, or Traviankle, I think it's supposed to be pronounced, which is super stupid and lame, Blizzard. Traviansel is like everyone says it, okay? I'll leave it at that. But yeah, this is it. These are the temples. This is the before the Reign of Hatred zone in Diablo 4. This is it. Man, and if you know anything about Diablo 2, you know that Act 3 is pretty fucking annoying, okay? If we ignore if we ignore burning souls and the guys that go explode, yeah, not Traviansel, but the Act 3 in general in Diablo 3 is like the worst place to ever live in.
Class, and they shared some story bits, basically the fact that the expansion is going to be centered around Mephisto. They shared a bit of concept art from major locations and points of interest that we're going to see while exploring the jungle, and that
is the entrance to the Holy Temple City, aka Traviansel. Yeah, this is the entrance, I think. At least it probably should be the entrance.
See while exploring the jungle, and that was pretty much it. They were very specific light in that they really shared no specifics. There was no info on the class, no name, no playstyle, no mechanics, nothing other than
Spirit Breaker, Spiritborn, I think was the new class. Sounds cool, but admittedly this is Diablo 2. You can introduce a class called the Mechanist, and it's a class that uses weapons, and most people would be like, yeah, you know what? Good enough. Feel good. It's okay. It's fine. Because, I mean, Diablo 4 is a game where you can introduce almost anything, even a pixie warrior, and you're probably lore accurate at this point.
Than the fact that it will be a new, never-before-seen class for a Diablo game. There were also no details on what new content types to expect, new bosses, new mechanics, new game modes, absolutely nothing. More or less what they did was say, hey, there's a new expansion, it's going to be in a new region with a new class, we'll have new stuff, but that's all.
I actually don't like this idea that there's a new expansion you need to expect a new mechanic. I don't want new mechanics every expansion. I want just the old mechanics to be good. This is not World of Warcraft where every expansion you need a new 15 new mechanics and everything old gets thrown out the wayside. I kind of just want them. Am I the only one who doesn't care about new mechanics in a new expansion? If the old mechanics are good.
All we can say, we'll tell you more next year. And as of now, the launch window is planned for sometime late 2024. And during the Diablo 4 campfire chat, there was a Q&A in which we got a couple bits of more information. For example, we learned that templates, in order to save and switch between different builds and gear setups, they are planned for a future update, although they did not commit to what update and when. The more social tools will be added, and this was in response to a question.
Yeah, social tools, good luck with that, dude. No one uses chat. I mean, go to a world boss and try to communicate with people. Silence. Dead silence. You can say whatever you want, no one's gonna answer you. The one time someone actually said something was an Xbox controller user, which was crazy in my opinion, but hey.
Asking for a group finder or global chat. They also mentioned a big overhaul to itemization is in the works, like removing deal increased damage on Tuesdays and other similar effects.
Good.
And then aspect management is a big thing that they want to improve, with the ultimate plan being to get the aspects out of our inventory and into the Codex of Power. They said that this won't make it into Season 3, but should be coming sometime after that. So those were all of the reveals at BlizzCon for Diablo 4. We had the Season 2 updates, which I wasn't expecting, but are nice to see. We had the tease of Season 3 with them just mentioning a new Endgame in the Gauntlet and the fact that they're adding leaderboards, but nothing beyond that. And then we had them say, hey, there's an expansion. We're not going to give you any real details, but an expansion is coming sometime later next year. I want to say one of the main reasons I like going to BlizzCon and that I've enjoyed it in the past is the playable demos. Typically, whenever Blizzard reveals new stuff for any of their games, they've got a demo available at the convention, letting people try it.
Yeah, but now Blizzard is completely not confident about themselves at all. Let's be real.
First BlizzCon back in 2011, I got to play Blizzard Dota, which was basically the earliest iteration of what became Heroes of the Storm. I also got to check out the Mist of the Pandaria World of Warcraft expansion, and I got to play a Diablo 3 demo some like half a year prior to the game releasing. It included this 4 vs 4 arena PvP mode that never ended up making it into the game. But the point is, when you go to BlizzCon, you get the announcement of new stuff coming to their various franchises, and you also get a chance to play it. And at every single BlizzCon I've attended, that's been one of the main draws, getting this early hands-on look at their upcoming games. So naturally at this...
Do the blood boils explode? Is that this? Do they do that? I kill them usually really fast. I didn't know they explode. But it looks like it. Or maybe they summon something. Wow. I had no idea. I usually kill them really fast, so I never know. I have never seen what happens to them at the end. That's crazy.
Games. So naturally, at this year's event, I got a chance to play some of these upcoming Diablo 4 updates, right? No, not at all. I got to play nothing, actually, which absolutely blew my mind. Every single other game that they had updates for at BlizzCon had a demo area where BlizzCon attendees could get hands-on time to actually try out the new stuff.
Oh, look at that. It's like the Black Moon Fair or something.
World of Warcraft had both new Classic Plus content as well as a section for retail WoW. For Overwatch, you were able to go hands-on and check out the new playable hero. And they also had demos for the new content coming to Hearthstone and an area for Warcraft Rumble. For Diablo, there was nothing. Not a single computer on the showroom floor.
Hey, if they leak anything, they know how mad people are gonna be. Well, in any case, I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah, well, anyway, that was our boy Forge Gaming. If you want to see the video, just click in the description down below and check it out if you want to see the rest. Anyway, that was me, Quizzer Says, and thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.